Every single morning, something sacred happens. The world, once silent and asleep, begins to stir. The sky shifts from black to gray, and then to gold. And in that moment, right there, life gives you a signal, a message, a quiet invitation that says, "You're alive. You've been given another shot." But most people don't hear it. They miss it. Not because the message isn't loud enough, but because they're too distracted, too numb, too disconnected from their own purpose to recognize it. They sleep through it, physically, mentally, emotionally. But those who truly wake up understand something different. The morning isn't just the start of a new day. It's the start of your legacy. You have to understand that first breath you take in the morning, it's not guaranteed. It's not owed. It's a gift. And gifts are meant to be used, not wasted. But how many times have you woken up and immediately drowned in your phone, your doubts, your anxiety? How many times have you postponed your life by hitting snooze on your alarm and on your potential? That moment of waking is powerful because it holds pure possibility. Nothing is ruined yet. Nothing is final. It's a clean slate. But here's the catch. What you choose to do with that clean slate determines everything else that follows. It sets the rhythm, the energy, the momentum. And if you start the day in chaos, guess what? The rest of your day will echo that same noise. People talk about fate, destiny, divine timing, but overlook the most divine moment of all. Right now. The moment you open your eyes and choose. Yes, choose how to meet the day. You can either grab that moment and say, "Let's go. I've got work to do." Or you can sink back into the comfort of nothingness. One choice moves you forward. The other steals your future, because how you wake up isn't just about what time you rise. It's about what you rise for, what you believe about yourself, what you're willing to sacrifice to become the person you know you were born to be. That belief, or lack of it, shows itself in the first minutes of your morning. There is a reason the most successful people on this planet protect their mornings like sacred ground. Because they know that the world starts making demands the moment you step into it. Notifications, expectations, responsibilities. The morning is the only time you truly own. The only time where your thoughts haven't been hijacked yet. So what are you doing with that freedom? Are you feeding your mind, moving your body, building your vision? Or are you wasting that quiet power on habits that keep you small, distracted, and average? If you want to rise above, you need to rise intentionally. That means cutting out the noise. That means moving like your future is watching. Because it is. You don't get strong in the spotlight. You don't get sharp in front of the crowd. You build your edge in the unseen hours, in the stillness, in the quiet, in the morning. That's where warriors are made. That's where minds are trained. That's where you decide whether you're going to run your day or let your day run you. People want breakthroughs, but they don't want early mornings. They want power, but not the discipline that comes before the world wakes up. But here's the truth. Every champion you've ever admired made the decision to stop wasting the wake up. They stopped treating the morning like a casual stretch and started treating it like a battlefield. And that mindset, that urgency, is what separates the extraordinary from the forgettable. So the question is no longer whether mornings matter. They do. The real question is, what are you doing with yours? You've been given the most powerful moment of the day, every single day, and you've been wasting it like it's nothing. But it's everything. The morning is your mirror. It reflects your priorities, your values, your drive. And if you're not proud of what you see there, then it's time to change it. Not tomorrow. Now. The world doesn't need more people who go through the motions. It needs more people who attack the morning like their future depends on it. Because it absolutely does. Comfort is a beautiful trap. It feels like safety, like home, like peace. But beneath that soft surface, it hides something brutal as stagnation. Every time you choose comfort over discomfort, ease over effort, rest over resilience, you are trading your potential for a fleeting feeling. That bed you can't leave in the morning. It's not just holding your body, it's holding back your destiny. We've been conditioned to believe that comfort equals happiness. But true fulfillment doesn't come from staying in the warm place. It comes from pushing past it. From doing the hard things. From moving when you don't feel like it. Because that's when growth happens. That's where transformation lives. In the friction, not the fluff. Discomfort is not your enemy, it's your compass. It's the universe pointing you toward the edge of who you are, daring you to step into who you could be. But the problem is, comfort is addictive. It seduces you. It says, you're fine where you are. It tells you, it's okay to take it easy. And before you know it, weeks go by, months disappear, and you're still stuck in the same loop, wondering why nothing's changed. Nothing changes because nothing ever as hard has been done. Growth demands discomfort. It demands struggle. The cocoon is cozy, but the butterfly can't emerge until it breaks through. That's the beauty. That's the point. You can't become something new by doing what you've always done. You want to elevate. Then stop hiding in the same routines that are keeping you average. The hardest part of any transformation is that moment when your body says, no, but your soul whispers, keep going. And most people ignore the whisper. They listen to the weakness. They think being tired is a reason to quit. But tired is not a stop sign. It's a signal. It means you're working. It means you're stretching. And the ones who understand this, they lean into that pain. They don't run from it. They rise through it because they know comfort is temporary, but regret is forever. Look around you. How many people are truly alive? Not just breathing, but alive. Passionate. Awake. You'll find they all have one thing in common. They've stopped worshipping comfort. They've stopped making decisions based on what feels good and started making decisions based on what does builds them. There's a difference between rest and avoidance. One heals you, the other hides you. You can lie to others, but you can't lie to yourself. Deep down, you know when you're hiding. You know when you're playing small. And every time you give in to the comfort instead of showing up for your calling, a part of you dies. Slowly, quietly, but surely. Discipline doesn't happen in the spotlight. It's forged in private. When no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when it's cold early and everything in you wants to stop, but you don't. You keep going. That's when the shift happens. That's when the old version of you starts to break. That's when the next level of you begins to form. But only if you're willing to choose the hard path, especially when the easy one is right there, whispering your name. Every day, you have two choices: comfort or growth. One feeds your ego, the other feeds your soul. Only one will take you where you really want to go. You want to know why most people never make it? Why they stay stuck, even though they have the talent, the ideas, the desire? It's because they can't get past the beginning. That moment where it's uncomfortable, where it's awkward, where they feel exposed. They think that discomfort is a sign to stop. But it's not. It's a sign you're stepping into something real, something that matters, something that can change you. And change, real change, is always uncomfortable. That's how you know it's working. So if you feel resistance, good. If it's hard, good. That means you're alive. That means you're not wasting the wake up. That means you're finally doing what most people run from, becoming who you were meant to be. There's a window of time, right after you open your eyes, when the world hasn't touched you yet. No texts, no pressure, no noise. Just you. And what you choose to do in that hour will echo through the rest of your day, and eventually your life. That first hour is not just time, it's power. But most people waste it. They roll over. They reach for their phones. They scroll through someone else's life before they've even connected with their own. They react before they've even set an intention. But the ones who understand the power of this hour, they guard it with everything. They treat it like the golden space it is, a launch pad for their entire being, because they know that their future isn't shaped by random luck. It's shaped by what they do. Before the world wakes up, your first hour is a mirror. It reflects the depth of your discipline, the clarity of your vision, and the strength of your priorities. What are you feeding your mind with? What are you doing with your body? What are you speaking into your life when everything is still quiet? These moments set your internal temperature. If you rise with purpose, intention, and energy, you carry that frequency into every conversation, every challenge, every opportunity. But if you rise in a fog, reacting to the day like it owns you, then you've already surrendered your power. The truth is, you either direct your day or your day will direct you. And that direction begins in how you spend the very first 60 minutes. You don't need a perfect morning routine to change your life, but you do need ownership. You need to be deliberate with how you start. It doesn't matter whether you meditate, write, move, or plan. What matters is that you should choose something that aligns with the life you're building. And then you do it with consistency, not when it's convenient. Because there's no magic in routines. It's in the intention behind them. That first hour isn't about checking off boxes. It's about stepping into a mindset that says, Afash, I lead, I create, I build. That's how winners think. That's how legacies are born. Not when the spotlight is on, but in the dark, quiet choices you make before anyone's watching. Most people underestimate how quickly momentum builds. That's why the first hour is so important. It's where momentum is either created or destroyed. You start strong, you keep going strong. You start scattered, you stay scattered. The way you treat the morning is often the way you treat your goals, with either intensity or indifference. If you say you want something big, but start your day with zero strategy, you're living in delusion. The first hour is where you prove to yourself that your words mean something, that your goals aren't just talk. It's where your identity as a finisher, a leader, a force, is carved. And if you can master that window of time, there's very little in life you won't be able to master. There is a mental edge that forms when you dominate your morning. You walk different. You speak different. You're not scrambling to catch up because you've already done the work that grounds you. You become unshakable in the face of noise because you've already centered yourself in silence. That's the real power of the first hour. It's not just about being productive. It's about being aligned. When you get your mind right early, your decisions throughout the day come from clarity, not chaos. You stop chasing validation and start moving from intention. You stop waiting for motivation and start moving from discipline. And in that space, greatness is built. What you do in the first hour after waking up is a message you send to your subconscious. It tells your brain, this is who we are. This is what we do. So if that message is weak, distracted, lazy, you're training yourself to operate from weakness. But if the message is strong, focused, determined, you're building the identity of a champion. Every single day, you're programming your mind. And it starts with that first hour. The moment you stop treating it like an afterthought and start treating it like a strategy, your life begins to shift. Not all at once, but slowly, consistently, powerfully. That's how change happens. Not in the big declarations, but in the quiet decisions you make when the rest of the world is still asleep. Discipline is not glamorous. It doesn't look impressive when no one's around. It won't get you applause when you're alone in the dark, dragging yourself out of bed before the sun. But make no mistake, that's where it all begins. That moment when your body begs for comfort, when your mind whispers, just skip today, and you choose to move anyway. That's power. That's control. That's real freedom. Because the person who can command themselves in silence, who can rise without needing a cheerleader, is the person who will lead the loudest when it counts. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's built in those painful, invisible moments that no one sees. But everyone eventually notices. There's a false idea floating around that greatness comes from being in the mood. That somehow, if you just felt inspired enough, you'd chase your goals with more fire. That's a lie. Discipline doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't care about feelings. Feelings are temporary, unpredictable, and often misleading. Discipline is decisive. It's you standing up and saying, no matter how I feel, I will show up. And showing up consistently is what separates the elite from the average. Talent doesn't win without discipline. Vision doesn't come to life without discipline. And dreams, they die quickly in the absence of it. The uncomfortable truth is that you will never feel like it every day. But discipline shows up even on the worst days. And that's why it always wins. You want real confidence, real strength. It doesn't come from talking about goals. It comes from knowing deep in your bones that you can trust yourself to do what needs to be done, no matter what. Discipline builds that trust. Every time you follow through on your promise to yourself, you're laying another brick in the foundation of unshakable self-respect. And on the flip side, every time you break that promise, you're tearing that trust down. That's why discipline matters. Not just because it gets things done, but because it proves to you that you're worth believing in. When you keep showing up for yourself, you become your own source of strength. You stop needing external validation because you've already validated yourself through action. The disciplined person doesn't need the perfect environment. They don't need motivation, the right playlist, or a clear path laid out in front of them. They get up, they grind, and they execute regardless. That's what makes them dangerous. That's what makes them different. Because while the rest of the world is waiting for the right mood, the disciplined one is building in silence. And by the time the world catches up, they've already moved miles ahead. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's simply discipline repeated over time, until excellence becomes second nature. Until what once felt hard becomes who you are. That transformation is not loud, it's not pretty, but it is undeniable. When you practice discipline, You take the power back from everything that once controlled you. Your distractions, your procrastination, your old habits, your comfort zone. Suddenly, your life is no longer shaped by impulse, but by intention. And that shift is everything. Because now, you're no longer a prisoner of your feelings. You're the architect of your reality. You don't get pulled around by temptation or emotion. You choose, you lead, you build. And that kind of control bleeds into every area of your life. Your health, your mindset, your relationships, your future. It's all connected. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And if you build discipline into your mornings, it will spill into your life like wildfire. Discipline is not about being rigid. It's about being powerful. It's about knowing that every time you make a tough choice, you're chiseling away at the old, weaker version of yourself. You're forming something sharper, tougher, stronger. You stop being someone who reacts and start being someone who creates. Every early morning rep, every page read, every temptation resisted, it all counts. It all adds up, not just to results, but to identity. And that identity, it becomes unshakable. You walk differently. You talk differently. Because you've earned that confidence. Not with words, but with work. Discipline is the real flex because it never lies, never fades, and never needs to shout. It simply shows up day after day and builds a life no one can take from you. We live in a world full of noise. Everyone's talking, everyone's showing, everyone's pretending. But the truth, the raw, unfiltered truth, shows up in the quietest moment of your day, the morning. That moment when your alarm goes off and there's no one watching. No likes, no comments, no audience. Just you and the decision, do you rise or do you hide? Do you move or do you delay? That's the moment that tells the truth about who you really are, not the version you show the world, not the version you post on your feed, but the real you. The one who either acts on their purpose or postpones it. One more day. It's easy to talk about goals. It's easy to write them down, to share them, to dream big when you're hyped up. But what matters is what happens when it's dark, when it's cold, when you're tired, and the fire isn't burning as bright. The real work, the kind that transforms you, isn't done in the heat of motivation. It's done when motivation is eyes gone. That's when your habits step in. That's when your discipline either supports you or betrays you. The snooze button might feel harmless, but it's not just a few more minutes of sleep. It's a direct hit to your identity. It's you choosing the comfort of now over the power of becoming. You say you want to change. You say you want more. But what does your morning say? Because your morning exposes your truth. If you spend the first hour chasing distractions, reacting to other people's lives, or slipping into autopilot, then your actions are not aligned with your vision. You're pretending. You're postponing. You're lying to yourself. And the worst kind of lie isn't the one you tell others. It's the one you quietly accept from yourself every single day. That lie says, tomorrow will be different. But if your mornings don't change, of nothing will change. The version of you that you're chasing can't be built on broken promises and lazy starts. People crave breakthroughs. They want defining moments. But most breakthroughs aren't loud. They don't come with fireworks or fanfare. They come in silence, in consistency, in choosing to rise when everything inside you says stay down. Your morning is your proving ground. It's the place where you battle your old self, your old patterns, and your old excuses. And each time you win that battle, you become a little stronger, a little sharper, a little more focused. Those early victories compound. They build confidence. They create identity. And over time, they form the unstoppable version of you that doesn't need permission, validation, or hype, just purpose. When your morning is sloppy, reactive, and scattered, so is your day, so is your mindset, so is your performance. That's not just coincidence, it's cause and effect. Your morning is the ignition switch for everything that follows. If you start with power, presence, and purpose, that energy becomes your armor. It becomes your shield against distractions, setbacks, and noise. But if you start in weakness, in avoidance, in delay, that same weakness bleeds into your decisions, your reactions, your progress. That's why this matters. Not just because it sounds good, but because it works. If you want real results, you need to win the invisible war before the day even begins. Your life isn't being held back by a lack of talent. It's being held back by a lack of alignment. The person you say you want to be and the actions you take at the start of your day, they're not matching. That gap is where the frustration lives. That gap is where doubt grows. You don't need a new dream. You need new habits. Habits that match the vision. Habits that begin with how you rise. Because the morning doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your excuses. It only reflects what you've trained it to reflect. So look closely. Watch how you move when the alarm sounds. Because that moment, that quiet decision, that's where the truth of your entire life begins. There's a difference between waking up and rising up. Most people wake up. They open their eyes, stretch, maybe check their phone, and move through the motions of their morning like ghosts. But rising up, that's different. Rising up is an attitude. It's an act of defiance. It says, I will not let this day slip away from me. It's a conscious decision to step into your power the moment your feet hit the ground. It's the difference between simply existing and day intentionally living. Every morning you get is another chance to rewrite your story, but only if you rise with urgency, not apathy. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need a decision. Too many people start the day already defeated because they carry yesterday's excuses into today's opportunity. They wake up heavy, with guilt, with doubt, with the weight of everything they didn't do the day before. But here's the truth: the past is over. It can't touch you unless you bring it with you. The moment you open your eyes, you have two choices: dwell in who you were, or rise as who you're becoming. Rising up is not about perfection. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about refusing to stay down. It's about saying, today, I fight again. Today, I move differently. Today, I show up. And that choice, made consistently, changes your entire trajectory. You weren't put on this earth to coast. You weren't born to blend in. There's something inside of you. Something raw, real, and relentless that's been begging to break free. But you've been numbing it. You've been silencing it with comfort, delay, fear, and routine. Rising up means you stop waiting for the stars to align. It means you stop asking, when, and start declaring, no. You can't become exceptional by doing what's easy. You can't rise by crawling through the same habits that have kept you stuck. If you want to elevate, you have to activate. That means acting like your future depends on the next choice you make. Because it does. Every morning is a stage. And while there's no audience, no spotlight, no applause, there is one person watching very closely: you. Your subconscious is always paying attention. Every decision you make in the morning becomes evidence. Evidence of whether you're serious or just talking. Whether you're committed or just interested, when you rise up with intention, when you train, read, reflect, write, move, plan, you're sending a message to yourself. I am not here to waste this life. That repetition, day after day, builds an identity so strong that it doesn't crumble under pressure. It thrives in it. But it starts with the unseen hours. It starts when you rise. The most dangerous belief you can hold is that you have time, that you can wait until you feel ready, that you'll start when things settle down. But life doesn't wait. The clock is ticking whether you act or not. Rising up means understanding that your time is your most valuable currency. And once it's gone forever. You have dreams, good. But dreams don't work unless you do. And that work starts before the world demands your attention. That work starts when you decide again and again not to sleep through your calling. You don't get a meaningful life by default. You build it through intentional, repeated action. And rising up is that first essential step. There is a power inside you that only shows up when you're tested, when you're tired, when it's early, when it's hard. And that power is only unlocked when you rise anyway. Not because it's easy, but because it's a necessary. You have to rise for the people counting on you. You have to rise for the dreams that keep you awake at night. You have to rise for the version of you that's still waiting to be unleashed. Every time you choose to rise, you're taking your life back from the forces trying to numb you. So rise with fire. Rise with urgency. Rise like your life depends on it. Because it absolutely, undeniably does. You've heard it said before. Change your habits. Change your life. But let's take it a step further. Change your mornings. And you change who you become. Because the truth is, every single day you wake up, you're writing the script of your future. And the first lines of that script, they're written in the first hour of your morning. That early window is not just routine. It's ritual. It's declaration. It's how you tell the universe, I'm ready. You can't wait until noon to become powerful. You can't rise to greatness with lazy starts. The way you begin the day sets the emotional temperature for everything that follows. So if you're not starting with energy, clarity, and urgency, you're already playing catch up. A person's morning is the most accurate predictor of their success. Not their resume, not their goals, not their talent. Because what you do when no one is watching is what defines you when everyone is. It's easy to say you want to be more, do more, build more. But what does your morning say? Does it reflect discipline or distraction, strength or softness, growth or stagnation? You don't need a 10-step miracle routine. What you need is ownership. You need a mindset that says, this is my time and I refuse to waste it. Because if your mornings are reactive, your life will be too. But if you rise with an intention, you start leading the day instead of being led by it. That version of you that you admire, the confident one, the focused one, the successful one, doesn't show up randomly. They are built in the mornings. In the discipline of doing the hard thing first. In the silence of early hours when you train your body, challenge your mind, and align your spirit. You don't become that person by talking about it or planning for it someday. You become them by earning it daily. When it's still dark, when it's uncomfortable, when there's nothing pushing you except your own vision, that version of you is waiting, not in the distance, but in the decision. And the longer you delay, the longer they stay buried beneath excuses. Time is not the enemy. Wasted time is. People waste entire years saying, I'll start tomorrow, But tomorrow is a coward's promise. It's the safe place where potential dies. You want to change your life? Start by changing what you do the moment you wake up. Don't open your phone. Open your purpose. Don't scroll, stretch. Don't sink, stand. The longer you entertain weak patterns, the further you drift from strong results. And it all begins with how you treat the first hour. If you want to live with power, you need to arise with power. And that means doing what's right, not what's easy. Stop looking for external motivation. Stop chasing the right moment. It's not coming. All you have is now. The discipline don't wait. They create. They don't ask for opportunities. They prepare for them in advance. And morning is their secret weapon. It's the hour where they gain clarity, anchor themselves in purpose, and build a mindset that can handle pressure. Your morning is where your character is forged, where your standards are set, where your momentum is born. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. The 1 hour you control fully before the world can interrupt you. Own it, and everything else starts to align. If you keep hitting snooze, you're not just delaying your wake up, you're delaying your life. You're sending a message to your future self that says, I'm not ready yet. But the truth is you are. You always were. You just haven't stepped into that readiness with full force. And that step begins the moment your alarm goes off. That's your shot. That's your signal. That's your sacred invitation to move. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because when you stop wasting the wake up, you stop wasting your potential. This is not about being a morning person. This is about being a mission-driven person. Someone who refuses to drift through life. Someone who understands that every sunrise is a second chance, and every morning is a miracle. So rise up with fire. Own your hour. Build the person you were born to become. Because if you can master your morning, you can master your mind. And if you can master your mind, you can master your life. As